Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Are you excited to get started on today's project? We are going to be working on Kimberbell's Candy Cane Lane bench pillow slash table topper slash wall hanging project. So this project is super cool for the holidays. We have machine embroidery blocks. We're going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different blocks. You can follow along with the instructions and do the layout as they've shown as the bench pillow, or you may also use this free pattern I've come up with and do the table topper slash wall hanging that I'm going to be making this project into. If you've seen a previous version of this pattern, please mark that this is a revised version. I had the color wrong on the light pole on the previous map. So the light poles should all be in the bright blue, and I accidentally had these two colors flipped. So there's going to be light pole on all 4 sides. There's going to be a tree on all 4 sides. And then we're going to have the house, number 1, number 2, and number 3. And you can put those in any order. And then the treat stand. And then we're going to have some 8x8 just square pieces of fabric that we're going to quilt. That will be really cute on the 4 corners. And then we have a center that we'll talk about toward the end that's going to be filled with 2-inch squares and a border, and it'll be really cute. I'm excited. So if you'd like to use this pattern, feel free. This is what I'm going to be working on. So what we want to do today, regardless of whether you're doing the bench pillow or the table topper slash wall hanging, we're going to be working on the light pole blocks. And you see here there's 2 of them. There's this light pole here with a candy cane, and then to the far right there's a light pole with a cute penguin button, which they've added there. These blocks are basically the same. The positioning of the light pole is slightly different on the block, but they're basically the same techniques. We're going to be stitching out the light pole, we're going to be using mylar for the lanterns, and doing a fun little fringe effect for the wreath. So I'm only going to be demonstrating this block here because it has the added candy cane effect on it. I'm not going to be showing the one on the right because it is basically the same block. If you can do this one, you can definitely do this one, okay? So I will demonstrate this light pole with the candy cane in today's video. Then you know all you have to do is load the design and stitch out this light pole with the same techniques I'm going to teach you today. You just don't have the candy cane to add. Now, one little note, more of a creative note on what I'm going to do with my design here. I love candy canes. I love them, and I love the fact that we have several of them in this project that we're going to be using glitter on. So I've decided that instead, my first idea was to do one with the candy cane here and a light pole with the candy cane here and then 2 without. But because I love candy canes so much, I'm going to do 4 of the same block, all light poles with candy canes. Okay, but my little trick, because I'm doing my project more of a Candyland type theme with pinks and purples and teals and greens, that I am going to put different color glitter. And I have pink glitter vinyl, I have purple glitter vinyl, and I have a Cinderella blue, aqua blue vinyl, and then I have white vinyl glitter, which I'm also going to use throughout for snow and such. And so I'm going to do these light poles with those different color of glitter. So we'll have a pink candy cane, a purple candy cane, and a light blue candy cane, and white glitter accents on those as well. So this is going to be a fun project, and I'll walk you through when we get to that stage as to how to do this candy cane. But that's what I've decided to do creatively with my project. You can do it however you like. If you like to do just this plain one, you could do that for all 4. That works too. Either way, but let's just work on the light poles today. Just make a decision. If you're going to do the pillow, then you need 1 with a candy cane and 1 without. Or if you're going to do this free pattern I designed for you, then you need 4 light poles, and you can choose whether you want 2 with candy canes here, 2 without, all 4 without a candy cane, or all 4 with a candy cane. It's your choice. How fun is that? All right. So let's go ahead and gather your plastic bag or plastic pouch system where you have cut all the fabrics out, and the only thing that's actually going to be in the light pole is just going to be your pieces of the applique glitter that you need for the candy cane, and there's like an embroidery topping which they have in the embellishment kit. Don't cut those pieces yet, just slide the whole piece of the applique glitter and your embroidery topper into that pouch system. That's all you need, because I'm going to show you how to maximize the amount of candy canes that you can get out of one piece of glitter by not cutting it in advance. Just keep that piece whole that's in your embellishment kit. If you're cutting the applique glitter out of your own stash, I just made a 4-inch strip because there's several candy canes and several places where we're going to attach glitter in this project. I made a 4-inch strip out of each color, and again, I'll show you how to maximize. So we won't use much out of that strip, but that will keep us going for several candy canes. All right, so let's gather that plastic bag system that's marked light pole or your plastic pouch system, and let's head over to the machine and let's get started. Okay, we are at the machine. One thing I want to mention too, because we're getting ready to start stitching here, is you need to look at the instructions for the quilting. Whatever quilt design that you chose to quilt as you go, it comes with some instructions. So if you look at those instructions, just real quickly, we're looking for the size that we need to cut the batting, because you're going to need batting for these blocks. And the 2 sizes of blocks that we have in this project, the finished sizes are going to be 4.5 by 8.5 and 6.5 by 8.5. So just know that on your instructions for the quilting, we need to see what size batting we need to have cut for these blocks. So the blocks that are going to come up to be 4.5 by 8.5, which are the light poles, those, the batting, we need to cut 5 inches by 9 inches. Okay, and I'm doing 4 light poles, so I need 4 pieces of batting that are 5 inches by 9 inches. The rest of the blocks are going to be 6.5 by 8.5 finished. So the batting that we need is going to be 7 inches by 9 inches. All right, 7 inches by 9 inches. So that will give you a guide as to what to trim your batting to for these blocks. All right, so let's go ahead and add the designs to the machine. For reference, I have a Brother Dream machine, so you can follow along if you have something similar to this. You can click Embroidery, and I've got all the files on the flash drive, and I have a new folder called Candy Cane. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the quilting background first, because we're going to quilt as we go, and we add the quilting design first, then we add the applique design on top. Now, if you can't add both designs at the same time on your machine, don't worry. Just add the quilting design first, stitch that out, then add the applique design and stitch that out. All right, you got this. All right, so I put both designs on my machine, the 2 that I have purchased, the one that has the gingerbread, and then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find the one with just the candy cane and the mint candy, or the peppermint. And that's what I'm going to use for these blocks, is just the more simple design so it doesn't overwhelm the applique. All right, so the first block that we're going to be doing is the light pole. And the light pole is going to be a finished up size of 4.5 by 8.5. So 4.5 by 8.5, that means I want to choose the 4 by 8 design. All right, you want to choose the design that is just smaller than your squared up finished block size. So if my block is going to be 4.5 by 8.5, I want the quilting design that's labeled 4 by 8, and then it will show me that my stitch field is 4.5 by 8.5. Isn't that going to be cute? So let's click set. So it brought it in. Everything looks great. We're going to click add. Going to go back to my flash drive, back to Candy Cane, and now I'm going to go to the folder that I've called main blocks. Okay. So on this, I am now looking for the light pole, and I've chosen to do all of my blocks, the 4 that I'm going to do for my table topper, as candy canes, the one with the candy cane. So I'm going to do all 4 of these the same. All right. So that's the one I want to bring in, and I'm going to click set, but you bring in the one of your choice, whether it's this one with the candy cane or it's the light pole without the candy cane. You pick one of those 2, bring it in, everything looks good, and we're going to click embroidery. And we are ready to go. So let's go to the hoop cam. I have my 8 by 12 hoop in place because these designs, let's see, the finished size is going to be 4.5 by 8.5. So it's a little bit too big to fit in my 8 by 8 hoop, and my Dream Machine didn't come with a 6 by 10 hoop. So I have to use my 8 by 12 hoop. But if you have a 6 by 10 hoop with your machine, by all means use that one. That would be the perfect size. If you don't, then you'll have to go up to the 8 by 12. I have a piece of Kimberbell's lightweight poly no-show mesh stabilizer in the hoop. Very nice stabilizer, so we're going to use that for this project. I have a full bobbin of white thread down below, and I've gone ahead and put white thread up on top. So we are ready to go. And if you're following on the instructions, we're on pages 9 and 10. So let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the first stitch, which is going to be the placement line for the batting. Okay, so I've got my piece of batting. I'm going to lay this down, and just make sure that you cover those placement lines. Always kind of fold it up halfway and make sure I've got kind of an equal amount on both sides, and we're ready to go. So let's put the foot down and tack down the batting. Okay, so now we're going to take the hoop off the machine, and let's take this over to the table and let's trim away this excess batting. Okay, so we still have white thread up on the top of the machine. Let's put the foot down and stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Okay, so now let's lay your fabric down, covering that placement line face up with your fusible side facing down. Kind of just line it up and center it. You can feel the batting up here, and you can feel the batting on the sides. Let's put the foot down and tack down the fabric. Okay, now we're on to my favorite part. I should say one of my favorite parts. It is the stitch out of the quilting design. So this is a 3-minute stitch out. So we're going to fast forward and enjoy this. I'm going to quilt this in white. I love the fabric that I've chosen for this. It's kind of a swirl white on white tone. Kind of looks like a snowstorm going in the background. And I want the quilting behind this to kind of complement that. I don't want it to stand out too much from the applique. So I'm going to quilt mine white thread on this white fabric. Okay, so I've left white thread up on top. Let's put the foot down and let's stitch out these quilting stitches. Isn't that pretty? I love how that turned out. Very subtle, but if you look closely, you can see it. I love it. All right, so let's go to the screen because I want to show you what the machine is ready to do next. It wants to do that tack down line, that little, what do they call it? A tick mark for where we put down the fabric, but we don't need to do this step because we've already placed the fabric. The instructions don't account for if you do the quilting in the hoop prior to the applique. So we're going to skip this step, and all you need to do is go to your plus and minus button, and I'm going to go down one step. Okay, then it wants to tack down the fabric. We don't need that. We're going to skip that as well. So we're going to the candy cane. Again, let me go back to, you want to skip this little tick mark, and you want to skip that placement line for the fabric and go straight to the candy cane. All right, let's go back to the hoop cam. And just to show you a little bit here, we're going to be working on the candy cane now. And I am switching my design up. I'm going to be using all this fun glitter that I showed you in the first video. Now I'm going to be doing 4 of these light pole blocks. I'm going to do one with a pink candy cane, one with a lavender, and 2 with the blue candy cane. All right, so at this stage in the instructions it says to stitch out the candy cane placement line, and it's showing the red thread. If you're doing the bench pillow project, you want to put red thread in the top of your machine, and you're going to pull out your red applique glitter. The applique glitter that is included in the Kimberbell embellishment kit is a heat transfer vinyl glitter. And on that one, you're going to want to peel a plastic coating off the top of it. Okay, and then that'll give you kind of a raw glitter look to put down for your candy cane. And then it's suggesting to use the embroidery topping. It's a white embroidery topping as part of the white part of the candy cane, and that's included in your embellishment kit. I'm changing mine up a little bit. So this embroidery vinyl I showed you in the very beginning, this is a actual embroidery vinyl. This is very soft, very much like fabric on the back. It's real soft, almost like a knit fabric on the back, but it's not. It's very, very soft, and it's pliable, and it has a plastic coating on top, which I'm leaving on. It does not come off. This is a different type of vinyl. It is not heat transfer vinyl. It is an embroidery vinyl. I will put a link in the description below to the shop where I got these on Etsy. They're so soft and so flexible, and I can't wait to use these. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this in. The pink will be the color of the first candy cane. So let's take the other 2 away. And then instead of the embroidery topping, I'm going to use this white glitter as the accent on the candy cane. It'll make it 3-dimensional because this is a little bit thicker than the embroidery topping, but it'll give a really fun, cool, festive glitter look. And I am all about that glitter. So these are the 2 pieces I'm going to be using now. The pink will be in place of the red, and then the white glitter will be in place of the embroidery topping. You can change things up. You don't have to do exactly as the instructions say, even though they're awesome. You can change it up and do something a little bit different and make this your own. So that's what we're going to do here. So I want to put, for my glitter that I'm going to use, I want to put pink thread in the top of the machine to stitch out this placement line. All right. So let's go ahead, put the color thread that you need for your candy cane that matches your glitter. Put that in the top of the machine. put the foot down, and let's stitch out the placement line. Perfect. Okay, so now we are going to put down the pink glitter right side up. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and line it up here. Here's the end. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and then I'm going to scooch it over to the side of the candy cane, and then I'm going to go over just a little bit more. That way we can maximize what we get out of this glitter. All right, so I'm going to put my foot down, and I'm just going to hold it with my stylus, keep it in place, or you can tape it, and let's tack down this glitter. Woo, I'm excited. All right, so I'm going to take the hoop off the machine. Look how pretty this is going to be. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the table, and we're going to trim away the outside outline of this candy cane all the way around. Now this is going to be raw edge applique. There's not going to be any additional stitches around this. So trim as close as you can, as neatly as you can, straight as you can all the way around, because that will be the final cut for the pink side. All right, so let's go to the table and trim the glitter. Okay, isn't that pretty? All right, so now I've put white thread on the top of the machine, and it looks like Kimberbell is going to stitch lines on top of this, so you can use your embroidery topping. I'm going to go ahead and still use the vinyl, because what I think will happen is some of the glitter will still sparkle through between the stitches. So it won't be a solid glitter coming through, it'll just be a hint of glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the thread out of the way. I'm going to just place the white glitter on top of that pink candy cane. And let's put the foot down, and it's a 4-minute stitch out. So let's go ahead and stitch the white thread down on the top of the candy cane, and we'll have just a hint of sparkle coming through. All right, here we go. Okay, that's kind of cool. It didn't do the effect that I thought it would, honestly, but it's still cool. The thread covered most of it, but I think what it might do at the end is it might give a cool 3D effect to the candy cane. So I'm going to go with it and trim this up and see what it does. If you have the embroidery topping, that would probably just be the best, because then that topping is really just covering the color of the item below. In your case, it's the red glitter. In my case, it's the pink. So that it doesn't show through with the white. But like I said, it might give a cool effect here. Like I said, I'm never against willing to try something. So let's see what it looks like after I trim away the excess glitter. Okay, we're back at the machine. You know, this gave an awesome effect. You can't see the glitter, but it gave this amazing three-dimensional look to this candy cane. And I'm in love with that. Like I said, even though I can't see the glitter underneath, the fact that it raised it up a little bit, and it's like you can feel the candy cane. I love it. I love it. I'm going to do this for the rest of them and just use the white glitter underneath because it's an awesome 3D effect. I do love that touch to that. Okay, so you never know. Mistakes. You try something, it doesn't work out, but then by the time you're done, it turns into something that you didn't even think about. So don't be afraid to try something. You know, what's the worst that can happen? You know, you might have to take something out if it isn't the way you like it, but you may find that you come out with this happy result that you didn't even realize or think of before you tried something. So lesson number 1, don't be afraid to try something different or something new. All right. Okay. So now we're going to do the mylar for the lamp lights. Okay. So I've put a gold thread on the top of the machine, and my famous lesson here, you get a loop, get that loop out after you thread the needle, because that loop will wrap itself around the foot and break your needle in a split second. All right, so we're going to stitch out the mylar placement line. You should find a small piece of mylar in your embellishment kit. If you need more, I have these 9x10 pieces of mylar in all different colors and combo packs available on my Etsy shop, and I'll put that link in the description below. If you ever need to get additional mylar, you can get multicolor packs or you can get solid colors. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put gold thread in the top of the machine, and let's put the foot down and stitch out the placement line for the lights. Okay, so let's trim away that excess thread. We don't want that hidden under it. And now we're going to place the mylar right side up. In this case, I'm going to make sure you just have gold facing up. And make sure you cover those placement lines. All right. So this case, I have at least a good 1/4 inch above. And I position it over. And now we're going to tack it down and do a decorative fill. So I'm going to leave gold thread in the top of the machine. Again, make sure I am in position. I'm good. Foot down. And let's tack it down. Okay, so now I'm going to just take the hoop off the machine so I can show you what we're going to do for the next step. We are just going to tear away the excess mylar. And the mylar tears away really, really easy. Look at that. It just tears right away. I'll get that off. Okay, and isn't that pretty? See, it tears away super easy. All right, so we're going to put the hoop back on the machine. And now, still with the gold thread up on top, we're going to stitch a satin outline around these. So gold thread still on top, and away we go. Awesome. All right, so now I want to go to the screen because I want to show you this next step. It's stitching eyelet holes for the fairy lights. Now, if you are going to be putting the fairy lights in this project, you will need to stitch this out with the gold thread that you have on the top of the machine. So I've chosen not to use fairy lights in this project. I'm going to use Hot Fix crystals at the end. And I'll just put 2 crystals on the light here. So I'm not going to stitch out these eyelets. So what I'm going to do is just go to my needle, plus or minus, and I'm going to go forward a step, which is this down arrow right here, to skip that step. and it takes me to the lamppost. All right. So if you are doing fairy lights, stitch out that stitch with gold thread up on top. And if you're not going to do fairy lights, you can skip that step. And then we're going to go right to putting black thread in the top of the machine and stitching out the light post. So I've got black thread in the top of the machine now. And let's stitch out the lamp post or light post, however you may call it. It's about a 7-minute stitch out in real life. So let's fast forward and make this happen. Let's do it. Isn't that cool? I love how this is turning out. All right, so now we're going to be working on the wreath. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to change our bobbin down below to either a water-soluble thread or a visible thread. I'm going to change mine to a red bobbin thread because I have that, because my wreath is going to be green. So just change it to a color that you'll be able to see that is different from the color of the wreath, because eventually we're going to be trimming these stitches and releasing the fringe on the top. So if you don't have water-soluble thread, that's fine. Just use a different color thread. Put that color thread in your bobbin down below. Okay, sorry about that. The camera wasn't rolling when I stitched this out, but I did stitch it out the green all the way around. And so now we want to take the hoop off the machine and we want to put regular bobbin thread back in the bobbin down below. So take your water soluble or red thread or whatever you used out and put your white bobbin back in. Leave the green thread at the top of the machine. And now we're going to tack down the inner part of this wreath to make sure that when we do trim those stitches, they're not going to go anywhere. All right. So foot down and let's tack them down. Okay, now we're going to take the hoop off the machine again, put it to one side, and we want to put that colored thread bobbin back in the bottom of the machine, or your water-soluble thread, whichever you're using, because we're going to do the inner part of the wreath that we also want to identify with a separate bobbin color. So the red for me is back in the bottom. So now we're going to stitch out the inner wreath fringe, which will be cut later. right, now we're going to take the hoop off the machine one more time. And we're going to switch out that bobbin thread again. Take the colored thread out and put white thread in. And I'm putting a new bobbin in here because I know I'm going to have a lengthy stitch out here for the snowflakes coming up. So I want to make sure I've got plenty of bobbin thread down below to get through those stitches. So now green thread still on top. Now let's put the foot down and we're going to tack down those interfringe stitches. So cool. All right, so make sure you've got your regular bobbin back down below in the bottom of the machine. And now we're going to do snowflakes. And I went searching around in my thread collection going, what do I want to do for snowflakes? One option was silver metallic, but then I thought, no, I really don't want to have to change my needle to a 90 needle and then back again for silver metallic. And then I got to worry about slowing machine down real slow so that we don't break the thread. And I thought, you know what? This is a candy land or candy themed project. And I'm doing pinks and purples and blues and you know, I thought, I think snowflakes should look like frozen snowflakes. So I went into my variegated thread collection and I found this awesome variegated thread. It goes from white to light blue to a real pretty pale like turquoise and then back again. So this is actually by Thread Nanny. It's color 9706, thread 90. It's a 40 weight. And I'm going to give this a try. I think that would give a really cool effect. Again, it's variegated. It goes from white up to the shades of almost like a baby blue and then back again. I think that would be super pretty. So let's give that a shot. I'm going to put that thread in the top of my machine. All right, so let's stitch out the snowflakes. There's 4 snowflakes and it takes about 10 minutes to do this in real life. So I'm real excited to see what this variegated thread does. Try something different. Go to your stash, look at some thread that you have that would make a pretty snowflake and just give it a try. All right, so let's stitch out these snowflakes. I love how it came out. You know what? This again was an idea that you just got to play with and give it a try. The variegated thread makes each individual snowflake totally different. And in real life, snowflakes are all different. Not one of them is the same. So look at this, how it has white in different areas and it does on this one. I love it. I love how that turned out. So let's take this over to the table and let's finish up this block. Okay, we're at the table. I really love the 3D effect that putting that little vinyl on top of the pink glitter did. It feels really cool. It's like a 3D. Okay, so now we're going to finish up this block. Now, if you choose to do this fringe, you're going to turn over your block and you're going to look for the different color bobbin thread. And in my case, this is the red thread. And you're going to gently snip these threads. You can try it with a seam ripper, but I tend to have it pull the threads out when I use a seam ripper. But if you can do that, that's fine. go ahead and just clip those red threads. Don't clip the green, clip the red, your different color bobbin thread, all the way around. Then on the front, you're going to gently pull up those threads. And there's going to be 2 rows. There's the inner row and then the outer row. It takes a little bit of time to do this, but it will look really cool when it's all done with fringe. So you're looking to snip or clip the off-color bobbin color, which in my case is red, on the back. I'm choosing not to do the fringe. I kind of don't like the messy look that the fringe gives. It's cool, but for the project I have planned, I kind of like it flat. I'm going to put a bow or crystals or something around this as well. So I'm going to keep mine flat, and I'm not going to snip the fringes. But if you do, that's how you do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim up this block, and we're going to do it 2 different ways. I'm going to show you how to do it with a regular ruler first, and then I'll show you how to do one block with the orange pop rulers. Okay, these blocks are going to be squared up to 4.5 by 8.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4.5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. So yeah, 4.5 by 8.5 is where we want. The first cut is fairly easy. All I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to this stitch line. If you see here, this outer stitch line goes around the outside, which was your tack down for the fabric. That's what you're going to use to trim the edges. So I want you to go right on the stitch line, and then I want you to go just a smidgen to the left of it, just a hair. Hold it down and go ahead and cut. I'm gonna get off my excess stabilizer. And we've got one side done. That's easy, right? That's very easy. So then I'm just going to line this up and go 1, 2, 3, 4.5 is right on that stitch line. So again, I want to go just to the right of it and line myself up with the 4.5. And my rule of thumb is, can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can see the stitch line right through there. If I can see the stitch line, then I'm good to cut. All right, very slowly. Again, if I can't see the stitch line, I don't cut. That helps you prevent any unintentional boo-boos. All right, so we are good. All right, 4.5. So this is going to be 8.5. Again, the first cut is, again, very easy. Go to that stitch line. Go just a little bit outside to the left of that. Can I see the stitch line? Yes. And I go ahead and cut it. Okay, now I'm going to measure this to the 8.5. 8 and 8, 16.5. And line it up here. And make sure I'm good. That looks good. All right, can I see the stitch line just under the ruler? Yes, I can. And I'm good enough to cut. And look how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? So this block is ready to go. Now, if you're doing the bench pillow project, you only need one of these blocks. So you are done with this block. But if you happen to be following me in the pattern that I have provided, where I'm going to be doing kind of a table topper / wall hanging, you will need 4 of these light pole blocks. Okay? So magically go back to your machine and voila, make 3 more of these blocks. And if you see what I've done on this, I've alternated. So this one has a pink glitter candy cane. This one has a lavender glitter candy cane. And then I did 2 in almost like a Cinderella blue. Isn't that pretty? And I got 2 of those there. All right, so now let's trim these up because, again, I'm not going to do the fringe. I'm going to leave those nice and flat. But now let's go ahead and talk about trimming these up with an orange pop ruler. Okay, let's take the lavender one. All right, we'll go back and do the blue ones in a minute. All right, the Orange Pop rulers are a really fun set of rulers that are made by Kimberbell, and they come in a rectangle set and they come in a square set. And they even come with little circle grippies that you can put on that helps keep it from moving. All right, if you're going to use your Orange Pop with this set, remember we're doing 4.5 by 8.5 inches for this block. You're going to need 2 rulers. Okay, first of all, you need the 6.5 by 8.5 inch ruler, because that's going to give you the cuts for the bottom and cuts for the top. Okay, and then you're going to need the 4.5 by 6.5 ruler nested on the inside, and that's going to give us our first cuts of the left side and the right side. And this is where my little mantra of can I see the stitch line before I cut comes into play, because you don't want to cut here. Can you see the stitch line? No. You don't want to cut up here. Can you see the stitch line? No. You want to cut on the left side, because I can see the stitch line, the tack down stitch right here. I can also see it right here. So I'm going to line this up so I see the stitch line on both sides of this block. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're also going to use our rotating cutting mat, because this comes in really handy for being able to turn this block without having to turn the entire fabric. So I'm going to line that up. I'm going to nest it in. Can I see the stitch line? The answer is yes. So I'm going to turn this slightly to the left and make sure I've got good spacing. Again, can I see the stitch line? Let me line this up a little bit. There we go. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. So I'm going to hold the ruler down, make sure it doesn't move, and I'm going to put the rotary cutter in the slot and very slowly cut up. Now I'm going to turn the mat to this side. I'm skipping this side because I cannot see the stitch line here. I'm coming over here, making sure I'm lined up. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. Rotary cutter down, very slowly, carefully cut. Now I'm going to take the inside ruler out. And I'm going to come over here. And now I'm looking for this stitch line here and this stitch line up here. All right. So that is where I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut right here and I'm going to cut up there. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. Rotary cutter down and around and turn it. Skip this. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. Rotary cutter down and cut. Okay. All right, so let's take those off. And we're going to still have some things to trim up, which is okay. But at least the block is squared up, nice and pretty. Let's get this over here, which is what we're after. We're after a very clean, squared up block. Okay, put this over there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And now I'm going to take the small one and just use it as a guideline. And I'm going to trim up the rest of this, because you can see it's cut kind of like a pocket handle. We have to trim all the way up the rest of the way. So let's go here, line it up, and there we go. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing just to finish up that side edge, because it's missing that part there and it's missing that part up there. Okay. All right, so there we go. And we've got 4.5 spot on. Isn't that another cute block? Okay, let's put that aside. And we're going to do the next two. And I'm going to use just a regular ruler so that you get more experience in using a regular ruler as well. So again, the first cut is really easy. Can I see the stitch line all the way up and down? I can. I'm going to cut. Take off the excess stabilizer, which you can always save and sew some together and make another piece later on. Pieces like this that are big enough, I will save and I'll stitch together because you don't want to waste materials. That's just money, you know. So line it up 4.5 wide. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. All right. And that little mantra of can I see the stitch line? Just make sure that you are in the right spot to be able to trim and you're not accidentally going to cut something off that you shouldn't. All right, lining this up. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. Okay. It makes you think twice, you know. It makes you go, oh, wait, you know. Always measure 2 or 3 times before you cut. Same type thing. Here we go. 16.5. Lined up. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. It's just under that ruler. And there we go. All right, isn't that cool? So the more times you do this, the more confident you'll get in being able to use your own rulers as well, just in case you don't have the orange pop set. Let's do this one more time. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go to the bottom this time. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. So we cut. I'm going to do this side first. Change it up a little bit. So 8, 16.5. And I'm there. Lined up. You know the question. All right, lined up. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. Do it from here. And then take this. All right. Now we just do these sides. The first side is really easy. You don't really have to measure. Just go for that stitch line. Go just to the left of it. Trim it up. And then now, 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Line her up. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. Yay! You did it! Isn't that awesome? Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3. Let's get these rulers out of the way. And 4. We have 4 adorable light pole blocks. Look at that. You did it! All right! So I hope you had fun making these blocks. If you're doing the bench pillow, you only need 1. But if you're doing the pattern that I provided for this project, you will need all 4. Okay, so that's your homework assignment between now and the next video is to produce either 1 or 4 of these light poles, and we'll be ready to do the next project. Isn't that awesome? So I hope you had fun making these blocks as much as I did. Thank you so much for tuning in to Jolly Molly TV. Please subscribe to my channel. It's free and it allows you to see all of my video tutorials that I have out there. And it helps me do what I do for you, and I truly appreciate that. Also, click the bell notifications so you're notified when I upload a video, and click the like button so YouTube can see if people are liking the videos. And I hope to see you again very soon here on Jolly Molly TV, where we'll do the next block in this fun project. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.